So all I can say is who better to tell us that love sucks other than the queen, I would say, of pop, punk, emo, Avril Lavigne herself. She just decided to drop her seventh studio album, which is also called Love Sucks. That's why I mention it. And it's really, I think, what people have been waiting for, specifically her fan base, because it really marks like a return to the kind of music she really came up on and really helped define what like punk music looks like in the pop culture realm. So here to talk about the album with me is my friend Andrew. Is it Sakale?
Sakali, yeah.
All right,
You
Andrew,
did it right.
welcome to the podcast.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's exciting. I think it's really, in general, exciting for Avril to be releasing new music because I think it's a far cry from what her last album was too. So I think in general, it feels like going back to her roots, I think.
And it's funny, like you mentioned this before we started recording, you have on some merch from her last tour, the Head Above Water tour. So you're obviously a big
hmm
fan. Like you've been following her for a while, I assume.
hmm Yes, yeah. Um, Ever since I was really little, actually, which is kind of funny.
Honestly, it's funny because today, like this morning, I was, listening to the album again, watching a few of her older videos, and I'm like, it feels like being in a completely different universe. Like revisiting all that stuff from the early 2000s, because I remember being a kid and being obsessed with like Complicated and like Skater Boy and that whole album, which actually this year is the 20th anniversary of Let Go, like her debut. So like I said, it's just crazy that she's putting out this album, which like I said is so reminiscent of her earlier stuff. And it almost feels like a full circle moment to me because like I said, I think people have really been waiting for this, and the response has been like amazing.
Yeah. Actually, I saw something on Twitter and it was basically, I think it was like one of those charts account where they like record where music is at in the charts. And
Mhm.
it said that in like the first 24 hours, Avril Lavigne's album received more streams than Taylor Swift's Red Taylor's version,
That's
which is
insane.
surprising because the Red Taylor version got about 90 million, and then Avril Lavigne got 98 million. So it was really, I think in general, shocked because I feel like Taylor's like one of the most popular and widely liked musicians. So I was shocked to see that many people still really appreciate Avril and are excited for her new music too.
Yeah, totally. Like I was watching an interview with her too, and she talked about her fan base being so loyal and so dedicated. And if she can still pull those kinds of streaming numbers in the age where she came from with like CDs and everything, like that's
Mhm.
that's pretty fucking impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yeah,
I love her. I think she's awesome.
yeah, 100%. I don't know if you heard, but she's also planning on releasing a movie. Like there's a movie in the works
Yep,
for Skater Boy,
yep, which
which
is
is
amazing.
crazy. Yeah, it's awesome, but it's like it's so crazy. I don't know. It'll
Yeah,
be cool. I'm excited for it. But
yeah.
so she's getting into like more movies and film, and I think like those projects, which are different than what she usually does. So I think it's cool that she's kind of branching out into different things too.
hmm Yeah, let's get into the album a little bit more because it's obviously what we're here to talk about. And like
Mhm.
I said, kind of on the same topic of getting back to her roots, essentially, she talked a lot about too, like how organic it was to make this album and the people that she worked with. Like she worked with producers like John Feldman and Travis Barker's on a bunch of tracks. Mod Sun, which she like ironically started dating like during this whole process of making Love Sucks. And it's like she was just saying like this album happened where they all were just kind of hanging out and like had similar interests in this type of music, and before you know it this album was like born. So I think that really is telling to show how someone creative and as seasoned as she is just kind of like not even try and come out with something this awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I think it is so weird to me that I just like Travis and her, like they're from like their music was mostly popular in the early 2000s and late
Mhm.
90s and everything. So it's weird that, here they are. They're basically doing it all over again. And we're seeing it. And I feel like Travis Barker himself has worked with so many other musicians, and he is, I would say he's one of the artists that's really trying to like revive the like early 2000s pop punk type music. So I think that's really cool. Um, And it is so weird to me that she started writing with Madsen, because originally I thought Madsen was going to be more of like rap music or more
Right.
like that. I don't know why. I because he was dating Bella Thorne
Yeah.
before he started dating Avril. So I feel like he was kind of headed more towards like a rap style career. So I think it's interesting to kind of see the 180 in general.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think she's holding her own. Like there's no other musician that's like her right now, I would say, because there's Machine Gun Kelly, there's Monson, there's Jaden, there's Nessa Barrett, like there's a lot of people, but like no one's name I feel like holds the gravity in this topic when it like Avril Lavigne, especially for a woman.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was saying that to you earlier. There's no one else female that has really necessarily done what she's done in terms of like pop emo punk music or whatever. And she and I like completely see this because listening to the album, I pick up on little things here and there. Across the board, like this album is so well done. Like the production is like, I think, another key thing is she didn't have a label or a manager when she made this album. So she was just kind of free to do whatever she wants. And from the beginning, like if you see any interviews with her, she's like, I've always wanted to just rock and I've wanted to just do rock music and I want to do what I want. And she did that. Like it's guitars, it's drums, it's like it's everything that like rock music is, but like done to her standards, if that makes sense. And then also
Mhm.
like the songwriting, like I said, these are the little things I pick up on where it's like that was so cleverly written, and especially how sometimes it fits into the title or like the theme of the album. I don't know, like just mic drop for me. Like just,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I would say too. So the album opens with Cannonball and ends with Break of a Heartache.
Hmm.
And in the beginning, like she really does start with like an explosive beginning. Like she comes in, she's like, I'm ready to rock, like I'm ready to go. And then at the end, she's kind of just like middle finger up, bye, I'm out. Like, and I think that
Yeah.
that was just really artistically well done, because I feel like it's not too common that we kind of get like that strong intro and that strong ending. I don't
Yep.
know. So I think that it was, in my opinion, I think she did a really good job there.
Yeah, the energy like stays kind of on that level without, I would say, without it being like overbearing. Cause I think sometimes you can have albums where the energy is always high, but then it's also like, okay, now I'm tired. But
Mhm.
I think she dips with it pretty well. There's only really like one song that's a ballad, which is Dare to Love Me, which I also really liked. Like it was a nice
Mhm.
change, and like I think it comes like later in the album, like second or third to last. So it's like you still have, like I said, those variations of energy, but overall, like we said, it's just 100% go, go, go. Avril energy, like being like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck everything.
No, yeah, exactly. I think too, even Dare to Love Me, although it is a ballad, it still fits so well within the album, because um, I haven't listened to it in like the last 20 minutes or anything, but I feel like it has it has like the guitar in the background, so you can still like hear it. It's like more faint, I think, but it just in general, like she did so well at fitting a ballad into what is essentially like a pump up rock album.
Hmm.
So I thought that that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And to talk about like some of the singles too on that same topic, obviously Bite Me was released before the album came out. And I remember seeing something somewhere that she had said this was like the perfect preview introduction to the album. Very much so was that. And to kind of talk about those songwriting abilities, like I mentioned just now, I just think it's so clever how she has the line before the main chorus where it's like, you bit off more than you can chew. Can you taste it? And then
Mhm.
the whole song is like being bitter and being like, you could have had this and now you don't because you fucked up, so bite me. Like I said, little things like that, I just think that's so clever. Like, and her songwriting, like I said on this, just really came through.
Yeah, I think in general, like the two lead singles that she had, so it was Bite Me, and then I forgot the title. Um, oh, I Love It When You Hate Me,
Yeah.
um, with Black Bear. I think that those were two, I think, perfect, just perfect samples of what this album really is, because it you have that sound throughout it. But I think just in general, they pretty much give the major theme of what it is. So
Yeah.
I thought that those were two really good. I was actually thinking about it earlier today. If I were to pick like any of them to release as singles, it would probably be those two. Like I really do like, I think Deja Vu is probably going to be one of
I like
my
that one too. Yeah.
favorites. Because it's kind of like a little fake out in the beginning where it sounds like it's going to be like a ballad or something soft, and then it just drops. Um, but I feel like what she chose were definitely great, because then we also get every other song. I think it all just fits so well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like also Kiss Me Like the World Is Ending. I think that one too, I could argue could also be a single. Cause like that one, like she described it like as I have it written down about like running around Malibu like with Modson, like her boyfriend, and just, one of those things where you're just enjoying life and enjoying each other's company and like nothing else matters. But it also fits in, I guess, like thinking about it now too, like all the other songs that we mentioned, like Bite Me, Love It When You Hate Me, and like Deja Vu. And then also considering this one, like they all do occupy a different space, like sonically. Like I think sometimes with
Mhm.
doing a full punk rock album, you can kind of run the risk of everything sounding alike. But I think she does a good job too, making sure everything it doesn't blend to the point where it's all the same. Like, would you agree with that?
Exactly. Oh yeah, 100%. I think it fits cohesively as one album. As in they do have like the similar sound, but they each have their own, whether it be like the third verse, like something that really sticks out in that song that I think kind of makes each song more special.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think like Love Sucks. I think it's the third verse, or I think I'm not 100% sure, but like the sound just overall kind of switches,
Yeah.
and I think it makes the song more interesting and kind of cooler to listen to, because it kind of helps differentiate the songs, but they all do fit so well together.
That was actually the first song too she said she came up with for the album, because the whole concept was like, ugh, love sucks. Like she was going through stuff and just like venting, and writing sessions turning into therapy sessions, and like next thing you know, you have an album. So that's very telling too, that I think you picked up on that.
Yeah, I think too, one thing that was really interesting was that she wrote this whole album with like her now boyfriend, and the whole album's theme is like love sucks, and
Yeah.
it's like wow. But yeah, I would say overall she kind of did, when she was talking about it, she introduced it, I think, on Spotify. She sat down with them. She basically was saying that the album is supposed to be like a kind of how you lose yourself when you fall in love type of thing,
Hmm.
but then when you like crash really hard, like it's about kind of like bringing yourself back and like being more of yourself, finding more of yourself.
Hmm.
So it's
Right.
less about the heartbreak and more about her energy of being like, I'm not going to let it bother me like that, even though the
Yeah.
whole album is that. I don't know how to explain it, but she did such
Yeah.
a good job of like articulating what she was trying to say.
I think a song too, because it's been playing in my head and I want to bring it up, that also matches what you're just saying, was Avalanche, and kind of everything, like you said, just come crashing down in terms of like falling in love or feeling the weight of something. And also with that song specifically, I think there's a lot of traces from her last album, even though, like we've said, this is very much reminiscent of her early works like Let Go and, Under My Skin. But in terms of like her vocals too, like Head Above Water was a huge vocal like song where she really belts, and that whole album was very emotionally deep and very, and like kind of slow too. So I would say like there are little trickles of that in a song like Avalanche, but like I said, it's paired with all this other pumped up energy that's going on.
Yeah, I think she kind of did have a lot of the same topics. So she had Fell in Love with the Devil, which is,
Mm,
I think, could honestly, if she was able, like that's, I would say more of like a ballad, obviously, but if she could turn that into more of a rock song, like she could have 100% like re-released it with this album. But I think a lot of it's like the same subject matter, just different presentations.
mm,
So Head Above Water was more about her own personal struggles too with Lyme's disease.
yeah.
Um, and like everything going on with that too, and everything that was happening in her life at that time. And I feel like this album, is kind of those background things from the last album that she was also singing about, kind of front and center, and just saying like, I'm not going to let it bug me, but we're going to have fun with it.
Yeah. And I just love to like also thinking about the whole pop punk revival and like all the other artists that we mentioned. She's so awesome about recognizing younger artists that are doing something similar. Like I saw another interview she did, I think with MTV, and she calls out like Willow and Olivia Rodrigo and Billie
Mm.
Eilish, who I'm like, Billie Eilish is literally her daughter. Like, I don't care what people say. Like, that is April's child.
Yeah, it's really funny you say that because um so on my TikTok account, I did a lot of like album reviews. Like I have vinyl records, and I
Hmm.
did a review of Under My Skin, because I think if I had to pick, that's probably one of my favorite ones that she has.
Hmm.
Uh, but I was mentioning that she kind of was who Billie Eilish is now, I think, because she was
Hmm.
so young. She was like around Billie's age when she first released like Let Go. So I think that it just fits so well that we're kind of seeing them, because they have very similar vibes too, I think. So it's weird to see them both like together, because they're
Oh
like
my
kind of the
God.
same, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Power, like total like power trip move there. Like I think they had a photo together at some kind of red carpet award show too. And I was like, that is the photo of the decade for me. Like insanity.
Yeah, I think Avril also went to one of her concerts,
Okay,
and
yeah.
I think I saw that photo. But yeah, I would say that it's just so weird to kind of see the differences, but like such the similarities.
Yeah. So what do you think like this album, and I guess you could say this new era of Avril, means for her career? Because like I said, I think it's a whole revival that's going on, and she deserves to be at the helm of it. Like it almost wouldn't be happening properly if she wasn't involved. So like from your perspective, like what do you think like this means for her career?
Well, I think in general, I feel like she really is coming in back more towards like the peak of I think this like pop punk revival, especially with like Machine Gun Kelly, Jaden, I think Travis Barker. So I think she's coming in at like the perfect time, because she was like the original, like one of the originals from the early 2000s. So
Hmm.
to have her come back now, I think is huge. So she's also, as I mentioned before, like working on different projects too. So like she's working on films and stuff. And I think in general, like her career is only going to keep growing. I think um the her career in general, I think, has grown very far, but I think the only time that may have been more difficult was um like the 2015 to 2019, because she was dealing with so much on her personal life.
Yeah.
But even turning that around, like she made I don't know if it's like the Head Above Water Foundation or the Avril Lavigne Foundation, but basically
Yeah.
they donate to Lyme's disease research. So I think she has a lot she's working on, and I think it in general, I think her career is going to keep going, because I mean, as you can see, she's working with Travis Barker, she's working with all the right names, she's working with newer people too. Black Bear, Machine Gun Kelly is new to the scene. In the next album, if she does get any more new people, Willow, she worked with Willow, that was awesome. That was a really good song. Yeah, I think that her career honestly looks like it has a really good trajectory right now. I think she also has another album pretty much ready to go. So we'll see if maybe she keeps this going. She may release it next year. She may release it in 2 years. Um, I don't think she's released the tour dates yet for her American tour, but I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what the venue is going to be, because it could either be like a House of Blues, or it could be
Hmm.
like a TD Garden
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
situation.
Like I said, it's interesting too, thinking about her fan base. Like I said, she knows like they're loyal and they followed her throughout this whole thing. But I do think some people did kind of fall off the bandwagon during that period when she transitioned to more like pop y ballady stuff, like the Goodbye Lullaby period. Like I think she still had like some bangers, obviously, like some songs that came out of that area, like What the Hell and like Smile. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think like from my perspective, it does seem like she might be gaining a lot of traction back in terms of getting fans back into what she does. But also, like we've mentioned, this whole revival, there are younger people discovering this genre. So I think she's going to tack on some even new fans throughout all this. So I totally see that too. Like I think she could do either or. Like she would sell, I think she would sell out smaller venues, But if she had bigger venues, she definitely would still make a shit ton of money.
Definitely. When I saw her, she was only performing at the Orpheum Theater, which is,
Hmm.
um, it's more intimate, more kind of House of Blues size. But I definitely think that I think like a pit at her concert would be pretty cool. Like I
Yeah.
would love to see that. I think that that would be fun,
Oh my
just in
God.
general. So for that, I would like to see her at like a TD Garden.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess it depends on the production that she wants to put on.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, I would say what would you say your favorite songs are that she like has on this project? Or I guess we'll do all time, but then what's your favorite on this project?
Oh God. I think all time is super, super hard. Like I remember being obsessed with Girlfriend. I've always weirdly liked Smile. I don't know why. Like that song has always really stuck with me. And like My Happy Ending is obviously a classic. Like you can't go wrong. I think like those three probably, but like I said, for some reason, Smile has always been like something I just routinely go back to. So I could argue that one. Um, but then like for this album, I probably would have to like listen a few more times because I do like all the songs differently. Bite Me, I've been listening to since it came out, so I'm like still obsessed with it. And like I said, the
Mhm.
other like main singles like Kiss Me Like the World Is Ending and like Love It When You Hate Me. So yeah, I don't know if I can confidently say I have a favorite yet off this album, but they're all pretty good. Me being biased,
Yeah,
obviously.
I would agree. I would agree. Um, for me, I would say my favorite songs of all time would probably be Together. Well, no, in order. I really like Freak
Yeah.
Out
Okay.
off of Under My Skin, Losing Grip off Let Go,
That's a good one
and
too.
yeah, because it's again, she kind of, I think it's like the first one on the album. She
It
just
is.
starts
Yep.
it off and it's like, boom. And then I would probably say Together. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know those ones
Which
too. Yeah.
I think that those would probably be like my all-time favorites off this album. Um, I feel kind of basic saying that I really like Love Sucks because it's like the title, but I think that one's really good. I really like Cannonball and Deja Vu. I think those are like my top three from this album overall.
Solid. Yeah. Well, Angie, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you talking about this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, well, everybody, you better check out Love Sucks and realize that maybe it doesn't if you listen to the album. So go stream Love Sucks now. You won't regret it.